Captain Jake Morrison walked through the long metal corridors of Nexus Prime. The massive space station floated in deep space, far from any planet. It was the home of the Galactic Council, where 12 alien species made decisions that affected billions of lives across the galaxy. Jake had been coming to these meetings for 3 years now. He was Earth's main representative, the person who spoke for all of humanity in front of the alien leaders. Today felt different, though. The aliens seemed nervous, whispering among themselves in their strange languages. Dr. Lisa Barrett walked beside him, carrying a tablet full of data about Earth's latest discoveries. She was humanity's best scientist when it came to studying alien life. Her job was to help Jake understand what the aliens were thinking and feeling. "They're scared," Lisa said quietly as they passed a group of tall, blue-skinned aliens. "I can see it in their body language. Something has them worried." Jake nodded. He had noticed it too. The aliens who usually greeted him with polite bows now barely looked at him. The crystal-like Zephyrians, who normally glowed with soft light, seemed dim and flickering. The Kathmari, who could read minds, kept their mental shields up tight. Entered the main council chamber, a huge round room with 12 seats arranged in a circle. Each seat was designed for a different alien species. Some were tall and thin, others short and wide. One was filled with water for the fish-like Aquarians. Another glowed with energy for the beings made of pure light. In the center of the circle stood a small platform where Jake would give his report about humanity's progress. It was a tradition that had gone on for 50 years, ever since humans first joined the galactic community. Commander Alex Rodriguez was already waiting in the human section. He led Earth's small fleet of spaceships that protected human colonies on distant worlds. His face was grim as he watched the aliens take their seats. "Captain Morrison," Alex said in a low voice, "I've been getting strange reports from our colonies. Some of our supply ships have been stopped and searched by alien patrol fleets. They claim it's routine, but it's never happened before." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. How many colonies have reported this? 7 so far, all in the outer regions. It's like they're testing our defenses, seeing how we react. Before Jake could respond, a deep sound filled the chamber. It was the call for the meeting to start. The aliens settled into their seats, but none of them looked at the humans. This was definitely not normal. Ambassador Silthara of the Zephyrians stood up first. Her crystal body caught the light and threw rainbow patterns on the walls. When she spoke, her voice sounded like wind chimes. "We gather today to discuss a matter of great importance to all species in our galaxy," she began. "For 50 years, we have watched the newest members of our council grow and change. The humans have shown remarkable progress in many areas." Jake felt a small hope. Maybe this was going to be good news about humanity's achievements. But Silthara continued, and her tone grew darker. "However, this progress has come at a speed that concerns many of us. In 50 years, humans have advanced their technology by centuries. They have built faster ships, more powerful weapons, and communication systems that we do not fully understand." Dr. Barrett squeezed Jake's arm. She had helped develop many of those technologies. Earth scientists had been working day and night to catch up with the older alien civilizations. The Kathmari representative, Velkorin, stood next. His large head pulsed with soft purple light as he spoke without moving his mouth. His words peered directly in everyone's minds. "We have observed human thoughts and emotions for many years," his mental voice said. "Humans are unpredictable. They can be gentle and kind one moment, fierce and dangerous the next. This makes them difficult to understand and harder to trust." Jake wanted to stand up and defend his people, but he knew he had to wait his turn. The council had rules about who could speak, and when, one by one, the other aliens voiced their concerns. The Aquarians worried about human ships polluting space with their exhaust. The energy beings complained that human technology interfered with their natural frequencies. The plant-like Verdians claimed that humans expanded too quickly, taking over planets without asking permission. Finally, it was Jake's turn to speak. He stepped onto the platform in the center of the circle and looked around at the 12 alien faces staring down at him. "Honored members of the Council," he began, "humanity has always tried to be good neighbors in this galaxy. Yes, we have grown quickly, but we have also shared our discoveries with all of you. Our medical advances have saved lives on every world. Our engineering has improved transportation for everyone." He paused, seeing that some aliens were listening, while others seemed to have already made up their minds. "We may be different from you, but that difference has made the galaxy stronger. We bring new ideas, new ways of solving problems. Isn't that what this council is supposed to be about? Working together despite our differences?" Silthara crystal body dimmed further. "That is exactly the problem, Captain Morrison. Your species changes too quickly. You solve problems we thought were impossible. You build things we never imagined. How can we plan for the future when humans keep changing the rules?" Dr. Barrett stepped forward. "With respect, Ambassador, changing and growing is what living beings do. Would you have us stop learning? Stop trying to make life better for everyone?" Velcorin's mental voice cut through the air like a cold wind. "Perhaps it would be better if human learning was guided, controlled, limited to safe areas where it cannot disrupt the balance we have maintained for thousands of years." Jake felt his blood run cold. They were talking about controlling humanity, limiting what humans could do and learn. This wasn't a council meeting anymore. It was starting to sound like a trial. Commander Rodriguez stepped up beside Jake. "Are you suggesting that humanity should be restricted in some way?" The silence that followed was deafening. The aliens looked at each other, and Jake could see the answer in their eyes before anyone spoke. "We are suggesting," Silthara said slowly, "that humanity's expansion beyond the Sol system should be reconsidered for the good of all species." The meeting ended shortly after that, but Jake knew it was far from over. As the aliens filed out of the chamber, many of them avoided looking at the humans. A few seemed sad, but most looked relieved, as if a difficult decision had been made. Walking back to their quarters, Lisa spoke the words that Jake was thinking but afraid to say. "They're going to try to lock us up in our own solar system. They're too scared to let us grow anymore." Jake nodded grimly. "Then we need to be ready for whatever comes next, because I don't think humanity's going to accept being caged." 3 months had passed since the tense meeting at Nexus Prime. Admiral Jake Morrison, promoted after the concerning council session, stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, humanity's newest and most advanced starship. The promotion had come, with a warning from Earth Command. Be ready for anything. Today, that warning felt more important than ever. The Galactic Council had sent an invitation to something called the Grand Assembly, a ceremony that happened only once every 100 years. All species were required to attend with their best ships and most important leaders. Dr. Karen Walsh, the ship's chief science officer, walked up to Jake with a worried expression. She had been studying the invitation for weeks, and something about it bothered her. "Admiral," she said, "I've been looking at the coordinates they gave us for the assembly. It's an empty space, nowhere near any planet or station. That's unusual for such an important ceremony." Colonel Ryan Turner, Earth's top military strategist, joined them at the main view screen. He had been equally suspicious about the invitation. "My analysis shows that the location is perfect for an ambush. It's far from any help, and there are no escape routes if things go wrong." Jake stared out at the stars streaming past as the Defiant traveled through hyperspace. "Maybe we're being too paranoid." The Council has never been friendly, but they've never attacked us directly either. That's what worries me, Ryan said. If they're planning something, they'll want to make sure we can't fight back or call for help. The human fleet consisted of 12 ships, Earth's finest vessels with the best crews. Each ship carried important people from different parts of human society. Scientists, diplomats, military officers, and cultural representatives all traveled together to show the galaxy what humanity had become. Engineer Ben Carter worked frantically in the Defiance Communications Center. He had been trying to maintain contact with Earth, but something was interfering with their signals. Admiral, I'm getting strange readings. It's like someone is jamming our communications, but I can't trace where it's coming from. Keep trying, Jake ordered. If we can't talk to Earth, we're flying blind. Dr. Walsh checked her instruments again. We're approaching the assembly coordinates. I'm detecting multiple ships ahead, lots of them. The Defiant dropped out of hyperspace, and what Jake saw made his heart stop. Surrounding them in a perfect sphere were hundreds of alien ships. Every species from the Galactic Council was represented, but not with ceremony ships. These were warships, armed and ready for battle. Red alert, Jake commanded. All ships, defensive positions, but it was too late. The human fleet was completely surrounded, outnumbered 50-1. The alien ships had been waiting for them, positioned perfectly to prevent any escape. A communication signal came through, and Velcorian S-mental voice filled the bridge. The Kethmari leader's thoughts were cold and final. Admiral Morrison, by order of the Galactic Council, humanity is found guilty of dangerous expansion and technological advancement. You are hereby ordered to withdraw all human presence from space beyond the Sol system. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. This is a trap. You invited us here under false pretenses. We invited you here to deliver our decision in person. Silthara, Crystal voice joined the conversation. Humanity has become too dangerous to be allowed free movement in the galaxy. Your colonies will be evacuated. Your technology will be confiscated. Your species will be confined to Earth and its immediate neighbors. Dr. Walsh looked at her readings with growing alarm. Admiral, they're not just talking about the future. I'm detecting blockades around several human colonies. They've already started cutting us off. Colonel Turner was coordinating with the other human ships. The alien fleet is moving into attack formation. They're not here to negotiate. They're here to force us to surrender. Jake knew they were trapped, but he also knew something the aliens didn't. Earth had been preparing for this possibility ever since the council meeting 3 months ago. Hidden in the Defiant systems were new technologies that the aliens had never seen. Ben, send a coded message to Earth, Jake ordered. Tell them. The trap has been sprung. Use the quantum channel. But sir, they're jamming all our communications. Not all of them. The quantum transmitter is hidden in the navigation system. They won't know to look for it there. As Ben worked to send the message, Jake faced the alien fleet. Hundreds of ships surrounded his 12 vessels, but he wasn't ready to give up. Humanity had always been at its best when facing impossible odds. Admiral Morrison, Velcorin S-mental voice came again. You have 1 hour to surrender your ships and submit to escort back to Earth. Any resistance will be met with force. Jake looked around his bridge at the brave men and women who had followed him into this trap. They all knew the risks when they left Earth, but they had come anyway because they believed in humanity's right to explore and grow. Open a channel to all human ships, Jake ordered. When the channel was open, Jake's voice carried to every human in the fleet. This is Admiral Morrison. We came here expecting to celebrate with our galactic neighbors. Instead, we find ourselves betrayed and surrounded. The aliens want to cage humanity, to stop us from reaching for the stars. He paused, letting his words sink in. But they've made one mistake. They think being outnumbered means we're beaten. They don't understand that humans have never backed down from a fight, especially when our freedom is at stake. Dr. Walsh was monitoring the alien communications. Admiral, they're getting impatient. The alien fleet is powering up weapons. Let them, Jake said. Ben, did you get the message to Earth? Yes, sir. Earth Command acknowledges receipt. They're sending a response now. The response came through as a text message on Jake's personal screen. It was short but clear. Stand your ground. Help is coming. Project Prometheus is active. Jake smiled for the first time since arriving at the assembly point. Project Prometheus was Earth's most secret defensive program. If it was active, that meant humanity was ready to fight back. All ships, prepare for combat, Jake announced. We're not surrendering. We're not going back to Earth as prisoners. If the aliens want to contain humanity, they're going to have to prove they can do it. The alien fleet began moving closer, their weapons charging with deadly energy. But Jake wasn't afraid anymore. He had seen what humans could do when they were pushed too far. The aliens were about to learn the same lesson. Colonel Turner reported from the tactical station. Admiral, the alien fleet is in final attack formation. They're waiting for our surrender. Then they'll be waiting a long time, Jake replied. Signal all ships. Tell them to activate the new defensive systems. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you try to cage humanity. In the distance, the alien warships began to glow with weapon energy. The trap was closing, but Jake knew something the aliens didn't. Sometimes the best way to escape a trap is to spring it yourself. The battle for humanity's freedom was about to begin. President Nathan Brooks sat in the emergency meeting room, deep beneath the White House. The walls were lined with screens showing star maps, fleet positions, and urgent messages from human colonies across the galaxy. The news from Admiral Morrison's fleet had reached Earth an hour ago, and now the real work began. Secretary of Defense Maria Lopez stood at the main display, pointing to red dots that marked alien blockades around human worlds. Mr. President, we've lost contact with 15 colonies. The aliens aren't just threatening us anymore. They're cutting us off from our own people. General Paul Young, head of Earth's military forces, added his report. Our deep space monitoring stations are picking up massive alien fleet movements. They're not just blockading our colonies, they're taking control of the space around them. President Brooks had been preparing for this moment since the first council meeting went badly. He had hoped it would never come, but hope wasn't enough when dealing with scared aliens who saw humanity as a threat. Gentlemen, lady, he said, standing up, 50 years ago, humanity took its first steps into the galaxy. We were like children, eager to learn and make friends. Today, we find out that our new friends were never really friends at all. He walked to the window that looked out onto the White House lawn. Even in the underground bunker, he could see the sky through cameras placed above ground. Somewhere up there, human ships were surrounded by alien weapons. They think isolating. Use will make us weaker, he continued. They think cutting us off from our colonies will force us to surrender. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Dr. Amy Foster, Earth's top physicist, entered the room carrying a tablet full of data. She had been working on secret projects for the past 3 years, ever since the first signs of alien hostility appeared. Mr. President, she said, Project Prometheus is fully operational. All hidden defense platforms are online and ready. The aliens don't know they exist. Tony Mitchell, the chief engineer for Earth's space defense, pulled up a holographic display. We've been preparing for this for years. While the aliens thought we were building research stations, we were actually creating a defensive network around Earth and the inner colonies. President Brooks nodded. What about Admiral Morrison's fleet? Can we help them? Already in motion, sir. General Young replied. "Our hidden ships are moving to support positions. The aliens think they have us outnumbered, but they don't know about our stealth fleet." Meanwhile, in the outer colonies, humans were proving that they wouldn't give up without a fight. On New Terra, Colonial Administrator Steve Parker coordinated with Marine Commander Linda Hayes to prepare the colony's defenses. "The alien fleet is 3 hours out," Linda reported. "They're expecting us to evacuate like scared children. Instead, they're going to find a fortified world ready for war." Steve looked at the colonists gathered in the main hall. Farmers, engineers, teachers, and families who had come to New Terra to build a better life. Now they were being told to abandon everything because aliens were afraid of human progress. "We're not leaving," he announced to the crowd. "This is our home. We built it with our own hands, and we're not giving it up because some ancient aliens are scared of change." The crowd cheered, but Steve knew words weren't enough. The colony had been secretly preparing for this possibility. Hidden weapon systems, underground bunkers, and emergency supplies had been stockpiled for years. Back on Earth, Dr. Foster was explaining humanity's secret advantages to the president. "While the aliens were watching our public research, we were developing technologies they don't know about. Quantum manipulation, dimensional folding, energy systems that work in ways they can't understand. How long can we hold out?" "President," Brooks asked. "Sir, with respect, you're asking the wrong question," Dr. Foster replied. "We're not trying to hold out. We're preparing to win." Tony Mitchell brought up new displays showing Earth's hidden capabilities. "The aliens see our visible defenses and think they know our strength. They have no idea what we've really built." In space, Admiral Morrison's fleet was putting these secret technologies to work. The aliens had demanded surrender, but instead of giving up, the human ships began to change. Hull plating shifted to reveal hidden weapons. Engine signatures vanished as stealth systems activated. Communication arrays extended to frequencies the aliens couldn't detect. Dr. Walsh, aboard the Defiant, monitored the alien fleet's reaction. "Admiral, they're confused. Their sensors can't track us properly anymore. They're firing at empty space." Colonel Turner coordinated the human counterattack. "All ships execute freedom pattern. Show them what happens when they try to cage humanity." The human fleet moved like a school of fish, each ship knowing exactly where the others were going. The aliens had superior numbers, but humans had superior coordination. Years of preparation were paying off. On Earth, President Brooks made the decision that would change everything. Open a channel to all human colonies, all human ships, everywhere in the galaxy. When the channel was ready, the president's voice reached every human in space. "My fellow humans, today we face a choice. We can submit to alien control and live as prisoners in our own solar system, or we can stand up and fight for our freedom." He paused, knowing that his next words would be remembered forever. "The aliens fear us because we grow too quickly, because we learn too fast, because we refuse to accept limitations. Today, we show them that their fears were justified." The response was immediate. On every human world, in every human ship, people began to act. Colony defense systems came online. Hidden weapon platforms revealed themselves. Human ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels suddenly bristled with weapons. Dr. Foster activated the final phase of Project Prometheus. "Mr. President, the quantum network is fully operational. Every human settlement is now connected by instantaneous communication. The aliens can't cut us off anymore. The aliens had expected humanity to panic when isolated. Instead, they watched as humans became more unified than ever before. The threat of separation had brought humanity together in ways that peace never could." General Young reported the latest updates. "Sir, our colonies are not only holding their ground, they're pushing back. The aliens are retreating from 3. Systems all ready. President Brooks smiled. They wanted to see what humans do when we're threatened. Now they know. In the depths of space, Admiral Morrison's fleet had broken through the alien blockade. The surprised aliens found themselves facing technologies they had never imagined. Human ships that could phase in and out of normal space. Weapons that struck across dimensions. Communication systems that couldn't be jammed out. The galaxy had tried to contain humanity, but they had forgotten one important truth. Humans were at their most dangerous when they had nothing left to lose. The aliens had taken away humanity's place in the galactic community, but they had also freed humans from the need to play by alien rules. As reports came in from across the galaxy, President Brooks realized that the aliens had made a fatal mistake. They had feared humanity's potential, so they had tried to limit it. Instead, they had forced humanity to fulfill that potential in ways they never could have imagined. The cage was broken, and humanity was free to become whatever it chose to be. 6 months had passed since the alien betrayal at the Grand Assembly. The galaxy was no longer the same place it had been before. The Galactic Council had expected their blockade to force humanity into submission, but instead they were watching. Their own civilization crumbled. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the newly constructed Starbase Liberty, humanity's first mobile command station. The base could move through space like a ship, but it was as large as a city. From here, Jake coordinated humanity's response to the alien threat. Engineer Kate Sullivan walked up to him with a tablet full of good news. Admiral, Operation Breakout is ready to begin. All stealth ships are in position around Council space. Jake looked at the star map, showing red zones where alien forces controlled space and green zones where humans were free to operate. The green zones were growing larger every day. What's the status on our new allies? Jake asked. Kate smiled. Better than we hoped. The Draknari, the Helix Collective, and the Nomad clans have all agreed to join us. They're tired of being ignored by the Council species. Dr. Ray Collins, humanity's expert on alien cultures, joined them at the command table. Admiral, I've been studying the Council's internal communications. They're starting to panic. The Zephyrian economy is collapsing without human trade. The Kethmari are having trouble with their mind networks because of our quantum interference. Jake nodded. This was exactly what Earth's strategists had predicted. The aliens had grown dependent on human innovation over the past 50 years. When they cut humanity off, they had also cut themselves off from the source of their recent progress. How long before they realized they made a mistake? Jake asked. They already know, Dr. Collins replied. But they're too proud to admit it. They keep hoping they can force us back under their control. Commander Pete Wilson approached with a report from the outer colonies. Admiral, New Terra, and the other frontier worlds are reporting strange visitors. Ships from unknown species, asking about joining our confederation. Jake was surprised. Unknown species? I thought we knew about everyone in this part of the galaxy. These are species that the Council never let into their club, Pete explained. They've been watching from the edges, waiting for someone to challenge Council authority. When they saw us break free, they decided to make contact. This was an unexpected benefit of humanity's rebellion. The Galactic Council had presented itself as the only authority in the galaxy, but there were actually dozens of species that had been excluded from their system. Now those species were looking to humanity for leadership. Kate pulled up a tactical display. Admiral, our stealth ships are ready to demonstrate our new capabilities. The Council thinks their blockade has us trapped, but we're about to show how wrong they are. The stealth ships Kate had designed were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. They could bend light around themselves, becoming invisible to most sensors. They could also phase partially out of normal space, allowing them to pass through solid matter. "Begin Operation Breakout," Jake ordered. Across the galaxy, human ships began to appear in places where they weren't supposed to be. Council patrol. Fleets found human vessels suddenly materializing next to their command ships. Human traders showed up in alien markets that had been closed to them for months. Human diplomats walked into council meetings that they had been banned from attending. Aliens were terrified. If humans could appear anywhere, at any time, then their blockade was completely useless. Even worse, they couldn't figure out how the humans were doing it. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Ambassador Silphara received an emergency report from her military commander. "Ambassador, human ships are appearing throughout our space. We cannot track them or stop them. They're not attacking, but they're making it clear that our borders mean nothing to them." Silphara's crystal body flickered with worry. "How many ships?" "We don't know. They appear, deliver a message, and vanish. The message is always the same. The blockade has failed. Humanity is free." Meanwhile, Captain Lucy Green was leading humanity's diplomatic efforts with a new allied species. Her ship, the U-East Diplomat, was visiting the Draknari homeworld to formalize their alliance with the Human Confederation. The Draknari were a proud warrior race that had been refused membership in the Galactic Council because they were considered too aggressive. Now they were eager to join with humans who had proven they could fight back against Council oppression. "Captain Green," the Draknari leader spoke in his deep, growling voice, "your species has shown courage that we admire. The Council species have grown soft and weak. They fear change, fear growth, fear anything that challenges their comfortable control." Lucy nodded. "We believe that the galaxy is big enough for all of us to grow and prosper. The Council wants to keep everything the same forever, but that's not how life works." The Draknari leader's eyes glowed with approval. "This is why we choose to stand with humanity. You understand that strength comes from facing challenges, not avoiding them." Back at Starbase Liberty, Jake was receiving reports from all over the galaxy. The Human Confederation was growing faster than anyone had expected. Species that had been oppressed or ignored by the Council were joining in large numbers. Dr. Collins brought him the latest intelligence. "Admiral, the Council is having emergency meetings every day now. They're trying to figure out how to respond to our expansion, but they can't agree on anything." "What about their military forces?" Jake asked. "Stretched thin and demoralized. Half of their patrol fleets are chasing our stealth ships, and the other half are trying to protect their own worlds from the rebellion movements that are spreading." Kate Sullivan joined them with technical reports. "Admiral, our quantum interference systems are working better than expected. The Kethmarius telepathic networks are breaking down because they can't maintain mental contact through our quantum static." Jake looked at the strategic display showing the current state of the galaxy. The Council's red zones were shrinking while humanity's green zones expanded. But this wasn't just about territory. It was about proving that the galaxy didn't need the Council's permission to grow and change. "What's the status on our new technologies?" Jake asked. "Beyond anything the Council has," Kate replied. "While they were trying to contain us, we were developing systems they can't even understand. Dimensional manipulation, quantum computing, energy systems that work in ways they never imagined." Dr. Collins added, "The Council species are starting to realize that they didn't just lose their newest members. They lost their source of innovation. Without human creativity and human willingness to take risks, they're falling behind technologically." Jake made a decision that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. "Send a message to all Council species. Tell them that any of their citizens who want to join the Human Confederation are welcome. We're not just fighting their governance anymore. We're offering their people a better choice." The message was broadcast on all frequencies, in all languages. Within hours, the Council worlds were reporting massive civil unrest. Their own people were demanding the right to join the humans, who offered freedom to grow and explore instead. A forced stagnation. Commander Wilson reported the immediate results. "Admiral, we're getting requests for asylum from scientists, artists, and free thinkers on every council world. They want to join a civilization that values innovation over tradition." Jake smiled. The council had tried to contain humanity by cutting them off from the galaxy. Instead, they had forced humanity to become the center of a new galactic order. The old system was crumbling, and something better was taking its place. "Prepare for the next phase," Jake ordered. "It's time to show the galaxy what real leadership looks like." 2 years after the betrayal at the Grand Assembly, the galaxy had completely changed. Fleet Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the UES Independence, humanity's flagship and the symbol of the new galactic order. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from dozens of species, all flying together under the banner of the Human Confederation. The old Galactic Council was gone, not destroyed by war, but replaced by something better. The 12 species that had once ruled the galaxy now struggled to maintain control over their own worlds while watching their former subjects thrive under human leadership. Dr. Karen Walsh, now serving as Chief Science Officer for the entire Confederation, approached Jake with her daily report. "Admiral, we've received applications from 3 more species wanting to join us. The Velox traders, the Crystal Singers, and the Deep Void Nomads." Jake nodded, looking at the diverse fleet outside. "What do they bring to the table?" "The Velox have the best commercial networks in the Outer Rim. The Crystal Singers can manipulate matter at the atomic level. The Deep Void Nomads know hyperspace routes that no one else has ever discovered." Each new species that joined the Confederation brought unique skills and knowledge. Unlike the old Council, which had kept species separated and controlled, the Human Confederation encouraged cooperation and sharing. The result was technological and cultural advancement at a pace the galaxy had never seen. President Nathan Brooks had been re-elected twice since the crisis began, largely because of his handling of humanity's transformation from galactic outcasts to galactic leaders. Today, he sat in a meeting room aboard the Independence, preparing for the most important diplomatic encounter in human history. "Mr. President," General Paul Young reported, "the Council delegation has arrived. They're requesting permission to come aboard." President Brooks looked older than his years, but his eyes were sharp and determined. "Send them to Conference Room 7. Let them see what we've built." The delegation that came aboard the Independence was a shadow of the proud council that had once ruled the galaxy. Ambassador Silthara's crystal body was dim and cracked. Velcorin's mental presence felt weak and desperate. The other representatives looked tired and defeated. They were led through corridors, filled with humans working alongside dozens of alien species. Draknari warriors shared meals with human soldiers. Zephyrian refugees worked with human engineers to repair damaged ships. Children from 6 different species played together in the ship's recreation areas, in Conference Room 7. The Council delegation faced President Brooks, Admiral Morrison, and Dr. Walsh. The room was designed to show equality, with no raised platforms or special seating. Everyone sat at the same level, as equals. "President Brooks," Silthara began, her voice barely a whisper, "we come to you today not as the leaders we once were, but as representatives of species facing extinction." President Brooks leaned forward. "Extinction? What do you mean?" Velcorin's mental voice was filled with desperation. "Our civilizations are collapsing. Our economies have failed. Our people are leaving us to join your confederation. We are dying as a culture." Dr. Walsh consulted her tablet. "Our intelligence reports show massive population movements from Council worlds to Confederation territories." "Is this what you are referring to?" Yes, Silthara replied. Our best and brightest are abandoning us. They see a future with humans that they cannot see with us. Admiral Morrison spoke for the first time. Ambassador, 2 years ago, you tried to lock humanity in a cage. You told us we were too dangerous to be allowed freedom. Now you're asking for our help? We were wrong, Velcorin admitted, his mental voice heavy with shame. We feared your growth, your potential. We thought controlling you would preserve the peace we had maintained for millennia. President Brooks stood up and walked to the window overlooking the Confederation fleet. You didn't maintain peace. You maintained stagnation. You kept the galaxy from growing, from changing, from becoming something better. He turned back to face the delegation. But we're not here to punish you. We're here to offer you what we've always offered everyone, the chance to join us as equals. Silthara's crystal body flickered with confusion. You would accept us? After everything we did to you? The Human Confederation is built on a simple principle, President Brooks explained. Everyone deserves the right to grow, to learn, to become more than they were. That includes you. Dr. Walsh pulled up a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. The Confederation now includes 47 species. We have the strongest economy, the most advanced technology, and the fastest growing population in the galaxy. But we're not interested in conquest. We're interested in cooperation. Admiral Morrison added, you can join us as full members with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. But you'll have to accept that the age of council control is over. No more ruling from above. No more keeping species separated. No more limiting growth out of fear. The council delegation looked at each other, communicating in ways that humans couldn't detect. Finally, Silthara spoke for all of them. We accept your offer, President Brooks. We request membership in the Human Confederation. The ceremony that followed was broadcast across the galaxy. The last remnants of the old Galactic Council formally dissolved themselves and joined the new order that humanity had created. It was the end of an era that had lasted thousands of years, and the beginning of something entirely new. Lieutenant Sarah Morrison, Admiral Lorison's daughter, stood on the bridge of the Independence watching the ceremony. She had grown up during the transition, seeing the galaxy change from a place of rigid control to one of endless possibility. Captain, her communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from outside the galaxy. It's from a species we've never encountered before. Sarah moved to the communication station. Put it through. The alien voice that came through the speakers was unlike anything they had heard before. Greetings, humans of the Confederation. We are the Eternal Wanderers, a species that travels between galaxies. We have been watching your transformation. With great interest, Sarah felt a chill of excitement. What do you want from us? We want to learn from you. In all our travels, we have never seen a species turn defeat into victory the way you have. We want to understand how you took fear and isolation and transformed it into leadership and unity. Sarah looked at her father, who had joined her on the bridge. He nodded, giving her permission to respond. We would be honored to share our story with you, Sarah said. But first, let me ask you a question. Are there other species in other galaxies that could benefit from what we've learned? The alien voice carried a note of hope. Yes, many species suffer under systems similar to your old council. They could learn much from your example. Sarah smiled, realizing that humanity's journey was just beginning. They had transformed their own galaxy, but there were countless other galaxies out there, filled with species that might be trapped in the same kind of stagnation that had once limited the Milky Way. Then we have much to discuss, Sarah replied. The Human Confederation is always ready to help those who want to grow and learn. As the Independents prepared to make contact with beings from beyond their galaxy, Admiral Morrison reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The aliens. had feared losing humanity's contributions to their civilization. Then they had tried to eliminate humanity entirely. In the end, they had discovered that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their military might. It was their ability to turn any challenge into an opportunity for growth. The galaxy had tried to contain them, but containment had only made them stronger. Now, as they prepared to reach out to other galaxies, Admiral Morrison knew that the story was far from over. Humanity had proven that they could stand alone when necessary, but they had also shown that they preferred to stand together with others who shared their vision of unlimited growth and possibility. The galaxy had once feared what humanity might become. Now they knew. Humanity had become exactly what the galaxy needed to reach its full potential, and the universe was about to learn the same lesson.